In the last 6 months, more than at any other time in my life, the overwhelming theme in my life, the overwhelming narrative has been that I absolutely love my life. And what's interesting about that is that that hasn't always been the case. And it's not that I ever hated my life. It's just that I haven't resided in a space where the overwhelming narrative was that I absolutely fucking love my life. And that's where I've been for the last 6 months. So as I've been thinking about this recently, it led me to start to wonder why that is. What's changed? What's different? What is it that I've incorporated, or what is it that I've been doing that has led me to feel as though I just absolutely love my life? And it's an interesting question, and it led me to a couple answers. So let's talk about it. So I'm out here watching the end of the South Carolina-Alabama game, which is tied right now at 22-all with like a minute left in the fourth quarter. So I'll keep you updated on that. Going back to what we're talking about, though, that idea of loving your life and kind of my process of that becoming a theme or a narrative over the last 6 months, I started asking myself, what changed? What's different? What has me in this mindset or kind of continuing this narrative that I love my life? How did I come to really realize that? And again, it's not that I ever hated my life. It's just that I have become like hyper aware of the fact that I have a great life and I really love what I do on a day-to-day basis. And I think for me, it started when I got my first camera. I got a ZV-E10 about 6 months ago because I wanted to start posting things on YouTube for my business, things that would be relevant to my clients, that would kind of echo or mirror things that we talk about in the leadership development group. And so I started just going out and videoing things so I could figure out some of the settings and figure out how to best capture video, best way to do that. And in the process of that, I realized that, man, I really like this videography thing. I really like coming out and trying to find cool shots or set up cool shots or get out to areas that I wouldn't normally get out to capture some cool stuff. And throughout that process, I started really enjoying my days, getting out and doing that. And it was cool for me because I have a tendency to be a very routinous person. I get into routines that can become really monotonous. Do my work calls in the morning, go to the gym, and then just go home and chill by myself. And so what happened over the course of time was I was getting out and doing different stuff, going to different parts of town or going to different coffee shops just to try to find areas to get some cool video and things. And I realized how much I enjoyed that. And so I just found myself saying like, man, this is really fun. Today was a really great day. And I would say that every day. And so then I'd end up saying like, man, this was a really great week. You know, I really loved what I did this week. And that just led me to saying almost on a daily basis, like, fuck, I really love my life, man. Like I get to do really cool stuff that I enjoy, stuff that makes me feel fulfilled. And so it was really that process of me just getting out and doing things that I really enjoyed. And that was atypical for me because there are a lot of things that I like to do, but I just have a tendency to get into a routine and not get out and do those things. And so I think that first step for me or for anybody is think about what those things are that you really enjoy, that bring you some sense of peace and joy and fulfillment, and just get out and start doing them. Because I talk to so many people that will say, yeah, I really love doing this, or I love doing that, but I don't ever get out and do it. I can't find the time, you know, work is busy, or I'm busy with the kids or the family, etc. And I totally understand that. But I think that first step in getting to that point where you can say like, man, I really love my life on a daily basis is to make sure that your day includes things that you really enjoy that bring you that sense of fulfillment. So get out and do what you like, get out and do what you love. And maybe some of those things are things that you're not yet aware of, but getting outside your comfort zone like I did, getting out with a camera and risking being embarrassed in public like I am now, because I'm out here filming and people are walking by and looking at me funny. that's outside of my comfort zone, but it's something that I found that I really enjoy, and I'm going to keep doing it because it really makes me feel as though I love my life. Just up in my office finishing up some emails and things to prep for the week ahead. I've got a calendar full of Zoom calls and other appointments this week, so it's going to be a busy week, but thinking again about coming to that realization that I love my life and what contributed to that. This is a perfect example. My schedule is full of things that I said yes to. There's not one thing on my schedule that when I look at it, I kind of cringe and say, man, I do not want to do that. I shouldn't have said yes to that. Some point 4 or 5 months ago, I got really, really clear about what I was willing to say yes to. And I always use that filter that I read in that book, Essentialism, that idea that if it's not a hell yes, it's a no. And kind of adopting that frame or that filter for making decisions on what I would say yes to or what I would spend my time doing or who I would spend my time with really helped me lock in, dial in, and focus on the things that really matter. For most of us, the default is yes. Anytime someone asks us for a favor or asks us for help on a work project or asks us even just to go spend time together, our default is just to say, yes, I can do that. And then we figure out later if it actually fits in our schedule or if we actually have the time or the energy to do it. It's such a needle mover when you switch that default to no, where everything is a no unless it meets these certain criteria. And for me, the criteria is it has to be something that's moving me closer to the person I want to become or moving me closer to what I ultimately want to accomplish. And that's not to say that I don't ever go out with friends and go spend free time just doing stuff that I enjoy. Obviously, we talked about that yesterday. I think that's a huge piece. But if those things that you're saying yes to feel like obligations, they probably should have been a no. And so for me, I got really clear about what I would say yes to, what I would spend my time doing, and who I would spend my time with. And let me also say that spending time with friends and just hanging out and doing silly stuff sometimes, or just going and grabbing a drink or grabbing dinner, to me, that is contributing to me becoming the person that I want to become, because I'm investing in those relationships. I'm spending quality time with people that I love and care about. And so I was very, very clear about saying yes to those people, because to me, spending that time together and investing in those relationships does move me closer to being the fulfilled person that I want to be. And so I don't want this to be misconstrued as me saying, you're just locked in, you say no to everybody and everything. But it's important, because if you use this frame that everything we say yes to means we're saying no to multiple other things that we could be doing, maybe things that are ultimately more important or more of a priority, it really helps clarify that. So getting to that point where I could really say, man, I love my life. One of the reasons is because I got really clear on what I would spend time on, who I would spend time with, what I would say yes to. And the reason why that was such a needle mover for me was because everything that I was doing on a daily basis was something that I said hell yes to. It was something that I wanted to be doing. It didn't feel like an obligation. It wasn't something that I regretted saying yes to. So that contributed to significantly less overwhelm, burnout, fatigue, energy drain, etc. And so I think that's probably number 2 on my list of things you can do to get to a place where you say, man, I really love my life, is to get really clear on what you'll say yes to, who you'll spend your time with, and what you will spend your time doing. So I just made it home from the gym. I hit a little lower body today. Wasn't able to get all of it recorded, but I wanted to show you just a couple clips of that because I think working out is something that really illustrates this last point that we're going to talk about, this last thing that you can do to get to a place where you can routinely say like, man, I really love my life. And that last thing is to put yourself first, prioritize yourself. And I know that that runs contrary to probably what you've been told by society, maybe what your own belief system is. We've been conditioned to put people, things, our job, our career, everything before ourselves. We've been told that we have to consistently sacrifice our own needs and our own health and well-being for the good of others or the good of the company or whatever. And I totally understand that idea. I really do. And I know that a lot of us are in positions maybe where we don't have a choice. But the reason why this is so important and how it relates to getting to a place where you can really love your life is twofold. Number one, in my opinion, it's impossible to live a life on a daily, weekly, monthly basis that you can honestly say you love if you are not healthy, if you have not taken the time to prioritize your own health and wellness. And I'm talking about physical, mental, and emotional health. And here's the thing about that. Here's why it's so important for you to put yourself number one. Because nobody else can get in the gym and do those reps for you. Nobody else can go out on the track or out on the street and run the miles for you. Only you can do that, and you have to make that a priority. And then when it comes to mental health and emotional health, if you're struggling in any of those areas, nobody can do that work for you. You're going to have to make it a priority to do the work necessary to get you out of that place where you're struggling mentally. You're going to have to do the work to heal emotionally from past traumas from your childhood or past relationships or what have you. Only you can do that work. So if you don't put yourself first and prioritize that, it simply won't get done. And that's going to lead you to a place of being unwell and unhealthy. And again, it's impossible to say that you love your life if you're not healthy, if you're not well. There's an old saying that says a healthy man has 1,000 wishes, a sick man has but one. And so we can gather all the things in the world, the money, the success, the cars, all the tangible things that we want, all the material things. But if we don't have our health physically, mentally, and emotionally, we're not going to be able to live a life that we can say that we honestly, truly love. And here's the second reason why it's so important to prioritize yourself and make it intentional to prioritize your own health, wellness, and fitness. I would assume that most of you have people in your life that you love and care about that depend on you in some way. They depend on you for support, for encouragement. They depend on you to be there for them, to show up for them. They may depend on you to take care of them. If you're not well, if you're stressed, burned out, broken down, overwhelmed, exhausted, you can't show up for those people at the level that you want to or at the level that they need you to. You can't support them, encourage them, be there for them, and take care of them at the level that, again, you want to or they need you to if you haven't first prioritized your own health and fitness. In other words, you got to have something to give in order to give to someone else. And I think that for most of us, there are a few things in life that are more fulfilling, that bring us more joy than when we're contributing, when we are being someone of value in the lives of other people. I know for sure, for me, that's something that on a daily basis makes me say, man, I really love my life because I get to pour into people in my job, my clients. I get to offer value to them, give them value, contribute to their lives in some way, and that really fills me up. And so I think that's so important that we prioritize ourselves, we put ourselves number one so that we can be as healthy and as well as possible, so that we can show up for the people and the things in our lives that really matter. And when you couple that with those first two things that we talked about, number one, getting out on a daily basis and scheduling, ensuring that you do things on a daily or weekly basis that you love, that you enjoy, that fill you up and bring you some sense of peace and joy. Number two, that you really audit your life and get really clear on what you'll say yes to, who you'll spend your time with, and what you will spend your time doing, when you couple those two things with this last piece where you prioritize yourself, you put yourself first, prioritize your health and wellness, physically, mentally, and emotionally, for you, and so that you can show up for the people and the things in your life that you love and that really matter. I think if you can master those three, or get your hands or head around some elements of those three, I think it's impossible to go about your day on a daily, weekly basis and not say, man, I really love my life. I live a life that I truly love. So I hope that resonated with some of y'all. If you made it this far in the video, please give me a like on the video and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks so much.